The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh, got my hustle on, no imitation of bad. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throbbing my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
First Week Podcast coming to you Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. It is actually late Saturday because this will drop on a Sunday because, in fact, I won't be done. I'll be done. I won't be done rather. I'll be done tomorrow. In other words, so past midnight. So how you guys doing? Late night pod for me. It's actually the third podcast I recorded tonight. I did you guys know I have a little mini basketball show I do with on the Hull Up Incorporated feed. I do for Big Jim on for Hull Up podcast every week. I do a little 10, 15, 20 minute basketball podcast for a weekly thing. I recorded earlier. Then I did a wrestling retrospective podcast tonight with our good friend Rob Barnett, who'll be on this show as well too. Hopefully this week. We did a watch along of WrestleMania 10, the ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. That was a fun time. And now this. And I want to get this in now because the week is going to be kind of a lot of things going on in the week. A lot of podcasts I've scheduled in the week that I may not have time to squeeze in a solo pod. So I want to get this in now. Also, I got to be up early in the morning as well too, at 8 in the morning, actually a little earlier than that, because tomorrow we are actually going to Lion Country Safari to celebrate both my son's birthdays. Now, you guys know that the birthdays actually are in the beginning of April, but because of schedules and because of Easter and all this stuff, we decided to make their celebration with family and friends this weekend. So we're going to be doing that. A bunch of friends from work, family, of course, going to be there, friends, you name it, all going to be there, gathering, having a good time. Going to go to see obviously the safari as we did last year too, to go to a safari, do all that, and then we go. Hopefully the weather is good enough. It's been really a lot of rain the last couple of days, a lot of overcast. Hopefully the weather will be sunny tomorrow, and we'll be able to go to the water park and have a good time with the kids and whatnot. So that should be a good time, of course. But other than that, the kids have been on spring break. And as I get a text here from my wife, let me tell her real quick. She's asking me if I will be on break. That's the reason why I'm able to actually record. Is because she's actually at working tonight. Because she took off tomorrow. She took off tomorrow so she can be available for the obviously the party, obviously. But she's able to pick up some hours at work to make up for missing hours for tomorrow. So that's what's going on. This week also for the kids, it is spring break. They've been out of school all week long. And then I find out today from my wife that not only out of school on Monday coming up, they go to school on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then they're out of school again on Friday. How does that work? So you miss 6 days of school, go back for 3 more, and off again? I don't get that. So we've been managing that, spring break with the kids to all week long. Obviously it's as pros and cons. Obviously, I'm being honest. Like I love my kids. Obviously, I'll spend time with them, but of course, you also the sacrifice there is that you do get some, like, okay, for me, for example, I'm gonna sound selfish saying this, but you guys know with my schedule, I typically get Tuesday and Thursdays to myself, at least 5 hours myself. When they're in school, my wife goes to work for the day, and so I have 5 hours myself on those days to record podcasts, to go to the library, to go get a coffee, or what we want to do. That's my time. Obviously, they're at home. You don't get that time. And so you know, like I said, it is what it is. You know, you can't complain about it. You just take it as it comes. It is part of the process. So I'm not complaining about it. It just is what it is. So look, I've enjoyed being home this week, obviously, but I'm also excited to go back to school. I'm not mad about that, obviously, too. So that's what's going on this week with that. As for myself, health update, we had, you know, I was telling you guys, I think a couple episodes back about how like I was having issues with you know the meds. So I had my accident back in January, my my little health scare in January. We had some issues, with, you know, readjusting meds and whatnot because my blood pressure meds and whatnot, and my blood sugar started dropping here and there, and you know even recently too. Like not as many episodes, but it has some episodes where like my sugar would drop, so we lowered our meds again. And it looks like it looks like right now we have found the happy medium with that. So that's been good. For the most part. I actually fell today. Also, I was going to work this morning, and I was on the way downstairs from my my bedroom down to my to the living room. I'm flying down the stairs, and I tripped and fell on a toy. My kid had a you know what a sai is? Remember, you know the Ninja Turtles. You know, Raphael had a sai, the kind of the fork looking thing, weapon he uses. So my kids have a plastic version of that. Obviously not real. And I didn't see it. So I'm walking down the stairs and I fall. And all day long, it really didn't hit me till an hour later. I got to work. I'm starting to, you know, relax and, you know, starting to get into my day. And it wasn't until like an hour later I started really feeling it. Like, oh my God, I feel sore. I'm like, I feel like out of it, like totally out of it. Like I said, you know, falling at 43 years old is not the same as falling at 23 years old. It is not the same. So we had that. Other than that, I've been good. Health has been okay for the most part. My blood sugar's been within range. Although I will say, yesterday we went out with my wife with family. Visited her aunt and her cousin, and we went to dinner to Mexican restaurant. And I went to town. I had a arroz con pollo and I have to admit it, I had a soda. And then we had ice cream at the end, and my blood sugar did spike a lot. Highest it's been in months. But I also, as a result of that, I didn't eat for like 20 hours today until like this afternoon. I didn't eat for 20 hours as a result to reset everything. Yeah, and then today we've been home all day. I came home from work and was home with the kids. We had ordered pizza. You know, they went out for a little bit. It's been a kind of melancholy day. Came, like I said, tonight record some podcasts. You know, get some out of the way. Tomorrow, like I said, we're gonna be going Land Safari with the families and having a good time with that. I got to organize all that stuff in the morning. I make sure I'm awake in the morning because I feel like my wife. She's come home late tonight, and she'll have a couple hours of sleep. That's it, and then had to be up in the morning to help me navigate that whole situation. But that's just that. Other than that, everything's fine. My next one kind of sore as a late too, but you know, it is what it is. With that, also for osteoarthritis is what I have. So there's that. I am also down to my lowest weight total in over 20 years. I remember I was telling you guys that, you know, I plateaued 200 pounds last year. Can see get under 200 pounds. Then recently I got to 199, and then now I'm at 196. This is my lowest weight total I've been at in 22 years. I was literally in my early 20s when I weighed this low, and I'm trying to continue. I would like to start doing strength training stuff now going forward, not just focus on eating and dieting, but also start getting to like not just exercising. I want to really like do more like we have to lift weights again and put on some muscle and whatnot. So that's my next priority going forward with that. Let's see what else on the dock here. March Madness is here. Haven't watched much of the college basketball games. I pretty much missed all of Thursday's games. I watched a little bit of the FAU game yesterday, and then I watched a little bit of the Carolina was the Carolina and Michigan State game, but nothing really more than that. I gotta tell you, like I like college basketball. I was raised on college basketball. I used to be a diehard college basketball guy growing up as a kid. This year and every year, it seems like every year on command, and I feel like I say this every year on the podcast too. Like every year, I feel like I watch less and less and less of college basketball every year. And now it's seeping in now. It's bad enough that I really watch the season as this because, like, I follow it, quote unquote. Number one, I'm the NBA guy, and I'm not giving up NBA basketball games for college basketball. That's not happening. But now, I didn't even look at the bracket. I still haven't looked at the bracket yet. Like, I see the games, who's playing, but I haven't looked at the bracket. Like, I don't know who's the ones. I know now somewhat, but who the one seeds are and whatnot. I see just a couple upsets here and there, but I'm so disengaged in college basketball. And I don't know what it is. Maybe I have so much going on around me. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I'm just at that point now where it is what it is with that. Like, I just don't have the investment. I've told you guys through the years that one of the things I didn't like with college basketball is the fact that the one and done rule. I can't stand that. Players, you don't see players stay at schools, or star players stay at schools long enough to really get used to, teams. Like in college football, you're required to play 3 years before going to the pros. At least 3 years with the pros. On college basketball, you only have to do one, and that's it. And I grew up watching Grant Hill play 4 years. I grew up watching Christian Laettner play 4 years. I grew up watching Shaq play 3 years. I grew up all these guys playing so long that you at least had a little bit of a couple of years to really get used to these teams, these guys, these stars, and they're all gone, one and done. The parity is great, though. I will say the parity is great. A lot of top seeds getting upset again this week. And like I said, I'm keeping up with it, obviously, but I'm not. Like, I'm so disengaged with it, man, honestly. And I feel bad about that because some of the games are good. So, I mean, it's amateur in comparison to the NBA, but it's just, I know I keep saying it is what it is, but it really is what it is. So I check as I come, but again, you also asked me to give up NBA games for that, number one. Number two, I'm actually doing a lot of catching up on The Sopranos now. I'm trying to really focus on other content and whatnot. So college basketball has one of those things that suffered through the years for me as a low priority for me. So, but I mean, I will watch. Obviously, next weekend you have the last tomorrow when this podcast comes out. The last Sunday of the last weekend, last set of games for this Field 32. We'll have Sweet 16. Well, no Sweet 16. But tomorrow night or tonight rather. And then I'll probably watch some of the Sweet 16 and on most likely. I'm going forward. It's a 3-week process, You have the 64, then the 16, and then the Final Four. So that's that. All right. Well, a couple of things here we get out of here. Not a long pod today, but the NBA season. Speaking of basketball, we are entering the final weeks of the year. It's been a very fascinating season, to be honest with you. A couple of things that stood out to me. The MVP race. It's really a 2-man race. It really is. It's SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out of Oklahoma City, who are now currently number 1 seed, and it's Nikola Jokic once again. It's a neck and neck race. It really is. Last week I think I said on my basketball podcast that I had Jokic by smidge. Now I switched now. Now it's SGA now. But again, this is down to the wire. You have guys like, if I did top 5, obviously SGA, Jokic 1 and 2. That's tier 1. Tier 2 would be Jason Tatum. It'd be Anthony Edwards, and it will be Jalen Brunson, who's been phenomenal in New York. It's a really, really fine race there going on right now in the NBA. Coach of the year right now, 2-man race also to me between Mark Dauganaut and Dauganaut, what his name is? Mark Dauganaut. I don't know how to pronounce it, but OKC coach. And then the coach in Jalen Mosley in Orlando. 2-man race there for the MVP. A couple of things the NBA that's stood out so far this year is at the final weeks. Even though the team sucks this year, obviously terrible. San Antonio does stink, but Victor Wembanyama is going to be a boss. He's a badass. He's going to be the best player in basketball in 5 years, without question. I'm confident in that. He will be the best player in the NBA in the next 5 years. He's just that dominant. Get him now while you can, because once Popovich and the Spurs front office starts getting real players around him, not guys who just throw up shots and don't run offense around him. Once they start getting real guys around him, this team is going to be unbeatable. This guy is going to be unstoppable. Get him now while you can, because Wemby will be the best player in basketball within 5 years. Okay. What else? A lot of the comparisons to Anthony Edwards. I love Anthony Edwards for the record. He's a phenomenal in Minnesota. A lot of the MJ comparisons to him, young MJ comparisons. I see it. I absolutely do see it. Like I said, I'm not saying that he as good as MJ. I'm not saying that he's, going to be the greatest of all time, that kind of thing. I'm just saying in terms of style play, in terms of, this attitude and the brashness, the confidence, the swag. If you watch Michael Jordan's game from 1984 to 1989, you can see the comparison. You can see where that comparison is being made. The style plays this right there. Anthony Edwards. Obviously, we'll see if he can take the next level. Obviously, and could bring Minnesota to being a real contender now. Obviously, top 3 seed in the West right now. But are they going to be a team that, in the end, will they compete for championships? I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But he's great. He's absolutely phenomenal. You also got Boston's dominance right now. They're gonna win most likely 60+ games, maybe mid 60s. But again, with the Celtics, it's all about winning a championship. Okay, I'm confident they'll get to the finals. I think they are right now leaps and bounds better than everybody else in the Eastern Conference. I don't think right now. I think there's a gap right now, and I hate to say this. I'm not a Celtics fan, obviously. There's a gap right now between themselves and Milwaukee, themselves in Cleveland, themselves in Miami, themselves in, you name it, New York. Doesn't matter. Boston has separated themselves in a way that, to me, the only team that compete with them right now at this point is Denver in the West. So it feels like right now, the NBA Finals is a shoo-in for the Celtics. That's what it feels like to me right now. So you have that. The Western Conference play-in situation is going to be absolutely sick. You have right now, currently, I think the Kings in there right now. Kings, Lakers, Warriors. I'm bringing up the order right now, actually, as I look up here. Give me 1 second. Right now, as I'm recording this, the Western Conference play-in situation, 7 through 10. Kings 7, Mavericks 8, Lakers 9, Warriors 10. But you got Phoenix now only half a game ahead, at 6. Obviously 2 games ahead is the Pelicans at 5, who's been another good story this year in the NBA. It feels like right now, for the most part, it feels like at the very least, the Lakers and the Warriors are guaranteed to be in the play-in situation. That's what it feels like. I mean, obviously Houston's won 8 in a row, but they're a game and a half out beyond Golden State for the 10 spot play-in situation. Obviously you have the Mavericks, Kings, and Suns. We'll set about out to get to that 6 spot. We'll see, but that's going to be a phenomenal Western Conference. That's going to be a great play-in situation when we get to that point in mid-April. Cannot wait for that. And obviously we're covering that on this podcast. So yeah, that's what's going on in the NBA. That's what's going on there in the NBA. And we'll obviously have more episodes with obviously me talking about it. We'll have guests on the show. Obviously we had a nice rotation of guests on the show in the last couple months discussing the NBA, and we'll continue doing that moving forward. All right, finally, one more thing before we get out of here. I want to talk about Tulsi Gabbard a little bit. Tulsi Gabbard, former Democratic Congresswoman of Hawaii, rumored now to be Donald Trump's VP running mate. Certainly rumored to be on the short list. And in fact, during a speech at CPAC, she embraced a lot of MAGA talking points and compared the Democratic Party to evildoers and dictators. It's crazy. This is someone I supported in 2020. This is someone I said that could have been a future Democratic Party or a future of politics in general, because she took very strong positions even in the Democratic Party that were not as popular. She's anti-military, frivolous military spending, pro-universal health care, and challenged status quo in the Democratic Party. And I appreciated that. She was also, as a result, ostracized from the party. So I understand on her part being very resentful to the party. Totally get that. I don't battle against that, because the powers that be in that party, there's obviously issues there, and there's obviously things that you can say, okay, that's not cool. But what my issue with that Tulsi Gabbard the last couple of years, the reason why I've pretty much gotten off the bandwagon, is that she is now, because a lot of the right has embraced her and whatnot, she's found a spot on like the lean right, I won't say hard right, but lean right side of the aisle. That now it's almost like she's like captured now, where she has to kind of cater to that audience. Like she started a podcast, which I think ended as fast as started. She's doing these Fox News hits now, which is okay. Again, nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to do that. But it makes me wonder, okay, I get what you're angry about. I get it. But has your philosophies changed all of a sudden now? Your ideology changed all of a sudden? Do you still believe in universal health care? Do you still believe in, cutting military spending? Because that's the thing I believe, that thing that bothers me more than anything else with Tulsi Gabbard, is that she's not even talking about those things anymore. Every time I see her on TV, or I see her on YouTube, or I see her on Instagram, any of her clips she puts out, it's all about the Democratic elite, this and that. Okay, cool. But what do you stand for still? Do you still stand for the same principles that you did in 2018, in 2019? It's very maddening, actually. It's actually very, very, and this is why I call her a grifter, because that's the vibe I get from her. She doesn't seem authentic. Like, I'm not even saying you can't change parties, you can't change ideologies, but on a drop of a dime. I mean, these are things she was passionate about. It's less about Joe Biden and endorsing Joe Biden, and more about what your philosophy is, or what your ideology is. And the things that I thought that she stood for, she doesn't even talk about anymore. And I wonder if that's to keep pace with the audience she has now. That's the thing. As saying that, obviously Trump, as both Trump and Biden officially nominees for the both their parties. Donald Trump's short list for VP, Kristi Noem in South Dakota, the governor. You have Elise Stefanik in New York rep. You have Tim Scott in South Carolina. You have Vivek Ramaswamy, who was a former presidential candidate. Greg Abbott is also rumored to be on a short list as Texas governor, of course. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders on the list. J.D. Vance, Ohio Senator. You have Carrie Lake, of course, Arizona Senate candidate, who's currently running for Senate right now. Katie Britt, the Alabama Senator. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Georgia Representative. Tucker Carlson, former Fox News host. And Ron DeSantis, Florida Governor. Now, when I read that down, that's from like most likely to least likely. So Kristi Noem is still the favorite. But there's been a lot of talk about whether or not Tulsi Gabbard would be. So apparently, from what we heard, is that Tulsi Gabbard actually is interested in, if Trump would to actually ask her to run with her, that she would say yes. Again, this is weird. This is all weird, because if you to believe that Tulsi Gabbard has the same ideology as she had in 2020, in 2019, whatever, Donald Trump is the antithesis of that. Donald Trump does not believe the things that you supposedly stand for, and that's what's confusing me. This is why I call her grifter. Okay, but again, you do what you want to do. It's your thing. You do your thing. But yeah, that's to me is disheartening. It really is. It really is. As a person who follows politics tooth and nail, you want to see more authentic people, and more people. You're left disappointed every time. You're left holding the bag in the day. So anyway, that's enough for me. I'm gonna go take a rest now. I gotta go to sleep. I gotta get up early morning, like I said, the kids, and go to Line Country Safari and have a good time to Safari. So anyway, I am on Twitter at EJ Christian 7, Earnestly podcast across all podcast catchers. Of course, my YouTube page at youtube.com/Earnest Christian. Check out this show. Check out my wrestling podcast, the Wrestling Retrospective, as well. And other than that, we will talk soon, and take it easy. Later.